Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel As Per Life Science. In today's video, we will study about the instrumentation of UV visible spectrometry. In the last lecture, we have studied about the principle behind this spectrometry, majorly Beer-Lambert's law. अगर वो वीडियो नहीं देखा तो पहले वो वीडियो देख लेना. Now, the instrumentation includes total these five instruments, that is a light source, either UV or visible. Depends on the spectrometry, we will choose our light source. Then there is a monochromator, which is also called as wavelength selector. Okay, see, from the light source, this light source will emit various types of wavelengths, but monochromator will allow only one type of wavelength to pass through it. Okay, next one, sample stage, where we will keep our sample with our standard or reference. And last one is detector, which will detect the emitted wavelength and give us our result. All right, so these are the basic instruments for any spectrometry. So very first one is UV source. Okay, so majorly we use tungsten filament. All right, contains continuous over UV region is generally used as a light source. Okay, what we use, tungsten filament. Okay, tungsten filament, tungsten is a very important. Okay, the power of radiation source should not vary in its operating wavelength range. Okay, it should not vary, it should be of a stable wavelength. Continuous UV spectrum is produced by electrically exciting deuterium or hydrogen at low pressures. Okay, how exactly we will produce our UV spectrum? By exciting deuterium or hydrogen at a lower pressures. All right, so deuterium is nothing but a form of hydrogen. So the emission wavelength of both deuterium and hydrogen lamps are in 160 to 375 nanometer range. Okay, this is the range for UV light, near UV and far UV light. So this is the range for UV light. Okay, this deuterium and hydrogen lamp will produce a wavelength of this nanometer range. Alright, the material of the cuvettes need to be selected such that it does not absorb the light incident. Let's see, cuvette is a is a instrument in which we keep our sample. Okay, so like this cuvette is there. This is made up of quartz. Okay, this is not made up of glass, because glass will absorb some emissions. Okay, glass will absorb some of the wavelength, but quartz will not absorb any wavelength. Okay, so see, the material of the cuvette need to be selected that it does not absorb the light incident. Okay, it should not absorb any wavelength of the light. Okay, because this will result in the error in obtained absorption spectrum. Thus quartz is usually used. What we use? Quartz and not glass. Okay, this looks like test tube, which is a square in shape, but this is not made up of glass, this is made up of quartz, because glass will absorb some of the emissions, whereas quartz will not absorb any emission or any incident wavelength light. Okay, and this will give a proper result. Alright, and for now visible light source, what we will again use, tungsten filament. Okay, this lamp can produce light in 350 to 2500 nanometer wavelength range. Alright, for UV we require 100 to 300 nanometer range, but for visible light, actually visible light has a wavelength range of 400 to 700 nanometer approximately, but this tungsten filament can produce this much range, 350 to almost 2500 nanometer. So in order to get a stable emission, a highly stable voltage must be applied to the lamp. Okay, what we need to do, we have to give a stable voltage so that it can produce a stable wavelength. Alright, tungsten halogen lamps include small quantities of iodine embedded within the quartz envelope. Okay, in the tungsten lamps, what we use, a small amount of iodine. Okay, this iodine actually reabsorbs the tungsten back. Okay, this will avoid the corrosion of tungsten. Iodine actually avoids the corrosion of tungsten. Okay, so the iodine reacts with the gaseous tungsten, okay, formed by the sublimation, and produces a volatile compound called Wi2. This is written as Wi2. tungsten diiodide. Tungsten diiodide. As tungsten diiodide molecules hit the filament, they decompose and redeposit tungsten back on the filament. Okay, this will avoid the corrosion of this metal. Okay, what they will do, they will redeposit the tungsten back on the filament. See, when we will heat our tungsten filament, it will emit electrons. Okay, but this tungsten iodide, it will redeposit this tungsten back on the filament, so that decomposition of the filament will be avoided at some level. Okay, so the tungsten lamps are used in the modern spectrophotometers owing their high efficiency. Okay, this tungsten lamps in which we use iodine, it has a double life as compared to our normal tungsten. Okay, so this is the case for iodine. So next one, cuvettes. As we have seen earlier, cuvettes are made up of quartz. Okay, so monochromator source is used before reaching the sample. Okay, see, I'll tell you. See, suppose this is the tungsten. Okay, and now this tungsten will produce almost various types of wavelength. Okay, and in spectrophotometer, in this instrument, we need a wavelength of a same type. Okay, we need a wavelength, a particular nanometer wavelength we require. So see, this is producing various types of wavelength. But here we do not require all these wavelength. So what we will use? We will use monochromator. This monochromator, mono as in single, monochromator will allow only a single type of wavelength to pass through it. This is the function of monochromator. Okay, this all will bombard on this monochromator, but this monochromator will allow only single type of wavelength to pass through the sample. Okay, so before the light reaching the sample, it is divided into two parts of the similar intensity with a half mirror splitter. Okay, what we use? Half mirror splitter. It will divide this light into two parts. Okay, what it will do? It will divide the light into two parts. So one part of the, and these two lights have a similar intensity. Okay, these two lights will have a similar intensity. So one part travels via cuvette having the solution or material to be examined in a transparent solution. Okay, so see, the first light will pass through our sample and another will pass through our standard or a reference, whatever it is. Okay, so one will pass through our sample which we need to examine, and another will pass through our standard or reference, whatever we will use in our experiment. Okay, so the second beam or a reference beam travel via similar cuvette having only solvent. Okay, only solvent, that is our standard. So this is the case for cuvettes, and cuvettes are made up of quartz glass. So next one, detector. Detector will detect our transmitted wavelength or emitted wavelength. So detectors detect the intensity of light transmitted by cuvette and sends this data to a meter to record it and display the values. Okay, what detector will do? It will measure the intensity of transmitted light. Okay, see, this is our sample, this is the monochromator, this is the light source. This will create various types of wavelength. Monochromator will allow only one wavelength to pass. It will pass through sample. This is our emitted light, this is our this is our incident light, this is our transmitted light. Right, so detector will detect this transmitted light and it will give us appropriate results. Electronic detectors calculate and compare the intensities of light beam. See, this electronic detector will calculate the intensity of this light as compared to this light. See, these both lights are important. This is incident light, this is transmitted light. So obviously this transmitted light will have a lower intensity. Okay, because it is passing through a sample, and sample will absorb some of the intensity, some of the energy. Okay, the photomultiplier tube is extensively used detector in UV visible instrument. Okay, what we use? a photomultiplier tube. Okay, in modern spectrophotometers we use photomultiplier tubes. What is the function of photomultiplier tube? I'll just tell you in brief. This photomultiplier tube consists of total 3 parts. First one is photoemissive cathode. Photoemissive cathode. ठीक है. Second one is dynodes, and last one is anode. Okay, see, this cathode and this is anode. Anode is positively charged and cathode is negatively charged. Cathode will produce electrons. Cathode will produce electrons which will collected by anode, because anode is a positively charged, and electrons will move to this positive charge. Okay, electrons will move to this positive charge and this will collect all the electrons and it will measure it. Okay, see, if I tell you the mechanism, what exactly it will do. This is the cathode. This is cathode. Right? So when the first photon, see, this is what? Photon, light. Okay, when this first photon will hit on this cathode will emit various electrons. These electrons first will hit a dynode. Okay, it will hit the dynode. Okay, it will hit dynode. And now this dynode will emit a multiple electrons. Okay, as soon as this electron will hit this dynode, it will emit multiple electrons. Okay, suppose this is another dynode, this is another dynode, and this will emit a multiple electrons. Now this is the first dynode. Okay, now this first dynode will emit some of the electrons, and now these electrons will hit on secondary dynodes. Okay, and after this hitting, a number of another electrons will emit from this dynode as well. Okay, so see, a photon will first hit on a cathode. Okay, a photon will hit on a cathode. Cathode is a negatively charged. It will emit negatively charged electrons. This electron first will hit the first dynode. Then this first dynode, it will get excited and it will emit more electrons. These more electrons will hit on the second dynodes, and second dynodes will emit a number of electrons. And this second dynodes, the electrons which will be removed from the second dynodes, will hit the third dynode and go on and goes on. Okay, this will hit the third dynode. Okay, this is third dynode, and after the hitting on this third dynode, it will emit a number of more electrons. Okay, and all these electrons will be collected by our anode. Okay, here there is a anode. So these all electrons will be collected by anode. Okay, this is what anode, and this will measure this electrons. This is photomultiplier tube. Okay, it is multiplying. So almost if I tell you, this one photon will produce almost 10 raised to 6 to 10 raised to 7 electrons. This much high amount of electrons will be produced by only one photon. Okay, this is called as multiplier tube, which is used in advanced spectrophotometers. Okay, these are the three parts of photomultiplier tube, that is photoemissive cathode, dinodes and anodes. So this is the mechanism of a photomultiplier tube. Okay, I hope you have understood this. So this is the structure of photomultiplier tube. See, this is the incident radiation which will hit on a cathode. See, photoemissive cathode. Okay, this is the photoemissive cathode. The incident radiation will hit on this photoemissive cathode and it will emit electrons which will hit on dionode, first dionode. The electrons which will remove from the first dionode will hit on the second dionode, and this will continue. A chain reaction will go on, first dionode to second dionode to third dionode, and at last here there is an anode which will collect all the electrons, because anode is a positively charged and all electrons are negatively charged. So anode will collect all the electrons and it will detect the number of electrons. Okay, last one, charge coupled devices. Okay, this is a camera like structure. It will collect all the charge. Okay, so like diode array detectors, but instead of diodes they consist of an array of photocapacitors. Okay, see, these are the detectors. This will give you result. Okay, charge coupled devices. Okay, this will measure the charge. Okay, so what they will consist of? Photocapacitors. Okay, so this is the instrumentation for our UV visible spectrometry. Okay, tungsten lamp, that is our UV visible source. Then there is a concave grating. Then there is a sector mirror which will bisect our incident light into two. First will go on the sample and another will hit the reference tube. Okay, which will consist of only solvent. This is the sample which we need to examine. Okay, then there is a grid mirror, and at last one there is a photomultiplier, and this will go to detector which will detect our result and which will give us a appropriate examination. Okay, so this is the instrumentation for UV visible spectrometry. Okay. So I hope this is very easy for you. Okay, so that's it for the day. If you have any doubts and difficulties, you can ask me in the comment section. We'll see you in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye and take care.